shop. Appreciate everybody joining us today. My name is Chad Peters. I'm part sales manager here at Rihm Kenworth. I've been part of the team here that have been bringing these webinars to you. We're still trying, living in a COVID world, so we're trying to bring these to you once a month, hopefully get some information to you guys. So tonight we're joined by a company by the name of Pinnacle HD. It's a Fender manufacturer that we've been dealing with for a little over a year now, I'd say. Had some really good success. So to talk about it today will be Paul from Pinnacle. And Paul, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and take it away.
Yeah, all right. My name is Paul Tullison, Pinnacle Heavy Duty, and we'll get this presentation started. Hopefully, there we go. All right, so some of you may have used Fenders in the past and might want to know why would you want to change to Pinnacle Heavy Duty. One thing we want to point out right off the bat is that we make all of our products in Minnesota. The plastic, it's molded here in Minnesota. All of our brackets are manufactured here, and all the coatings and our hardware is actually sourced from a Minnesota company. And our hardware is made in the USA. So no Chinese hardware in our bracket kits. We also have a patent on our bracket. And so you'll get a chance to see how that bracket functions, and then might make it a lot more advantageous for you guys to switch to Pinnacle's bracket system and Fenders. As far as the ownership goes, we're very experienced. All of us have been in the industry. There's 3 owners, and combined we have over 80 years experience in the heavy duty market. One of us even was an over the road truck driver, and he's a plastic expert, been in it for many years. So we've seen it all, and our whole goal was to make a better Fender system, better than anything that's ever been put out there. So, and we're very accessible. So if you ever have a question and you call in to Pinnacle Heavy Duty, you're going to be talking to one of the owners and getting, questions to your answers. So, or answers to your questions, excuse me. So as far as all the styles that we have available, it's pretty expansive. Our total lineup with colors and options represents right around 94% of the poly Fender market. So you're more than likely going to find something that you need. So if you've got super singles, wide format tires, we've got a solution for you here, the FHR 62. And if you look up at the part number here above the picture, FHR 62, our part numbers actually mean something. So if you had a Fender and you were curious what part number it was of ours, the top part number, FHR, stands for Fender half round. So you have obviously a half round Fender in the picture. And then if you measured the circumference of that, it's 62 inches. So that's how our part number system works. It actually means something. Moving on, our FHR 67, designed for 22.5 and 24.5 wheels, again in a half round setup, and then the corresponding bracket system. FHR 78, deep drop Fender. Our FH 55, your standard shallow drop half Fender. And if you go ahead and bolt 2 of those together, you've got a full Fender. So that's our shallow drop full Fender, which is really great if you have a truck with a full fairing. It's still short enough where it can tuck in behind that. Then we have our deep drop half Fender, our FH 67. And then as a full Fender shown here, so 4 pieces versus 2. Some of the differences with Pinnacle Heavy Duty. One thing over our primary competition, there's 3 other manufacturers other than us that make a similar looking Fender. All of them use a Levant texture. We use what's called a hair cell. So it's actually quite a bit nicer looking, to be honest. It's not going to collect all the dirt and things like the Levant texture does. So it is a nicer looking texture. Another difference you'll find with our Fender, Our bracket system has actually a little less than half the parts of our competitors, so there's less pieces for you to deal with, making the install a lot easier. And another big difference, our support ribs are wider, and that also makes the install a lot easier. So I've got a video here that I'm going to play for you. And the reason why wide ribs matters is it allows you to offset the fender further or closer to the frame. To get that to line up with other competitors' ribs where they're narrower, it's pretty difficult. And their solution is to add another spacer to the frame, okay? And the more you space your swivel off the frame, the more that fender is gonna bounce, kind of like a diving board. It's gonna really spring. So we wanted an easier solution. So we don't wanna use any spacers. We want a solid mount to the frame. So we made the wider ribs so you can actually offset about 1.5 inches further than our competition. Another big difference between Pinnacle Heavy Duty and our competition is how you install the fenders. So in our instructions, we recommend an aired up install. And why we do that, I'm gonna again show you a short little video clip. And so this truck has its air dumped, it's down. And then as we air the truck up, you can see that it's moving in the center point here. And this truck actually moved 1.25 inches, okay? And why is that important? Well, if we look at the next page, look at these fenders like this one here on the left, you'll see a big gap between the tire and the fender and a smaller gap on the rear of the fender, okay? Same thing on the picture on the right, large gap, small gap, large gap, small gap. And you get that by installing your fenders with the air down, okay? So again, we recommend aired up. That way, that fender is gonna be centered right on the tire. That's a big difference between us and them. Going on, looking at some other competitors' fenders that we have here, metal fenders, if you've ever used those, you'll notice a lot of these metal manufacturers got away from this curved rib that comes over the tire. And that's what's catching all your spray and your snow, mud. So it keeps it inside the fender, drops down to the ground. These, they got rid of that rolled edge collecting the spray because they always cracked. Rolled metal edges will eventually crack, but you have nothing catching the spray. On the picture on the right, we've got another competitor. You'll notice they use U-bolts over the tube. These things are notorious for coming loose, sliding down, and then you burn holes through them. Competitor on the left here, again, using the U-bolt system. So you've got 6 nuts and washers to put on that fender. It's kind of unsightly looking at a U-bolt. Again, the one on the right, an unsightly plastic bracket. This material on the bracket is actually made out of a different material than the fender. So it's a brittle plastic. It'll actually crack in the cold, extreme colds. They fade because there isn't a UV inhibitor in this type of plastic. So again, not a great solution. Plus it's kind of bulky and unsightly. So we wanted a nice clean look. If you've ran other poly fenders, this one is actually made out of a different plastic. And it's actually an injection molded plastic. Again, it's very brittle in the cold and will actually sag in heat. So not an ideal material to be using for a fender. And our competitor here on the right, with a plastic bracket, they're notorious for cracking. So they've actually had to take the extra time and labor to weld up a gusset for the bracket because it's just not a good solution. Here's some more pictures of that plastic bracket. Again, extra time to weld in some gussets to fix the crack through it. When it does crack and fail, fender drops on the tire, burns holes through it, and you're out extra money. Same thing here on the right, another crack and a fix. On the metal side of things, not all stainlesses and aluminum are high quality. They will rust. This one actually cracked and the owner had to patch it in. it also is very difficult to get wrenches in here and put it on. So again, our whole goal, fast install, easy for you, low maintenance, something you don't have to worry about. All right, competitor on the left, very cumbersome to put in this bracket. This is a center riser for a full fender. Again, U-bolts, 4 nuts, trying to get your hands into that tight space on the backside. It's going to take you a lot of time to put that on. Competitor on the right, again, we talked about spacers to space out past the huck bolts. These 3 spacers are plastic. You cannot torque metal, like so this metal bracket to a metal frame and have plastic in between. Eventually, those plastic pieces are going to expand and contract. They crack if you over torque them, and they act as a springboard, so you can see fenders going down the road really bouncy. Okay, our solution goes solid to the frame, steel on steel, and it makes for a lot more solid installation. Here's our center bracket, and you'll see it fits in tight to the suspension shackle. Very compact. It can adjust. It can swivel side to side. Fits in small spaces between the shock and the shackle. We look at our biggest competitor in the area, their center bracket. It won't even fit between the top frame rail and the shock. So you'd have to actually cut some of this metal out, weakening it. There's no gusset here in the center. They crack. You'd have to drill a new hole to go into the same bolt we went into. So again, it's going to take you more time to blacksmith this bracket to work on this truck. So hopefully you're seeing some time savings with our bracket system. Again, unsightly, and notice how high up this bracket is. There's a lot of fender down below, and it's not supported. So driving down the road, you'll see this. I'm sure those of you that have had fenders in the past have burned some through when they rub on the tire. So this just is not a good solution. It's way too high. Same goes on this set. So when you look at this picture on the left, this is our deepest drop fender. So it comes down way past the hub, and notice where our bracket lines up on it. It's nice and low, super, super sturdy. Looking at the picture on the right, their solution comes straight out across the top. Again, way too much fender exposed, pushes in as you're driving down the road, burns holes through it. If you've got any trucks with a Kenworth Airglide 380 suspension or a Peterbilt Flex Air, we do have a special bracket for those circumstances. No, none of our competitors have a bracket specifically for those suspensions, but we do. And the nice thing is it's a little longer and it gets you out past that big thick shackle. Here's some better pictures. So side by side, our competitor on the left with a Peterbilt Flex Air, our solution on the right. You'll notice that our tube mounts, again, way lower on the fender. This one was the one on the left. This was actually at a show, the Big Iron Classic in Casson, Minnesota. And this gentleman just put these fenders on. You know, he thought he did a great job on the install. And we talked about how easy it was. I mean, literally with your pinky, you could push that fender into the tire. So I'm sure he didn't get very much use out of these particular fenders. It's not an ideal solution for the suspension. Some of our customer pictures here. If you got any truck body at all, in this instance, a rear Packard refuse body, dump trucks, rollbacks, anything like that with a body above the wheels, that's where most of your corrosion happens, because the tires are kicking rocks up at the body, chips the paint, starts the corrosion. So for a very inexpensive solution is to put a set of fenders above that body, above the wheels. So we've actually done quite a few installs on new Packer bodies. So if anybody's on the meeting today that has any, again, a refuse truck, we've got special brackets that make the installation to a rear body really fast and easy. But I would look into that if you want to save some money on your bodies. Again, I always like to point out, nice low mount. None of our competitors can mount their bracket that low. Here's a customer of Rihm Kenworth that sent in the picture. He's extremely happy how fast the install went. And one thing I want to point out maintenance wise, once you put this fender on, a lot of complaints came in. I know when I worked for a competitor that it was so difficult to remove this fender. And, you know, if you had to do a brake job or remove the tire. So what we did was sped up the process. I'm just going to take you to our website. So pinnacleheavyduty.com is a great resource for all of you guys to come out and check out all the fenders that I showed you, all of the bracket options that are available. Installation instructions come with all of our kits. They're full color instructions that make it step-by-step very easy to install. So if you lose it though, you can always come to the website and print off a copy. And then we've got some videos that are pretty handy. So I talked about Fender Removal and how easy it is. I'd like to go ahead and show you that.
Well, I don't think we're seeing your screen right now.
Oh, you're not? Okay. Still seeing the PowerPoint? Okay.
Yeah.
Let me do this. Thanks for that.
There we go.
All right. I'll start back at the website here. So if you come to pinnacleheavyduty.com, you can scroll through all of the fender options that I showed you earlier, all the bracket options available. And as I said, our install instructions are here. So you can just click on them, download them, print them out, or just read them off your screen. But we also have some really handy videos, and that's what I wanted to show you on Fender Removal. Make this bigger here and back it up. There is audio if you go onto the website, but I muted it so I can narrate it. But basically you have a 1/2-inch grade 8 bolt holding on the front and the rear tube, support tube holding the fender on. So basically all you need to do is take a bolt out. And in this particular case, with the 1/2 round, you can loosen the front bolt and actually swivel it out of the way, do your brake job, change tires, whatever it is. You could also just take that bolt all the way out, take your fender completely off, and then in like less than a minute, bolt it back up. So very easy to remove the fender, do your maintenance, and reinstall it. Our competitors, it's quite a process. A lot of times it's 8 bolts to remove. They're small, they're not anodized bolts, so there's usually corrosion. It's very difficult, I can tell you, to remove that fender for maintenance. So out of all the people that purchase, they love our brackets, makes for a very fast install, and if you need to remove it, it's a cinch. So hopefully all of you guys out there will love our fenders and brackets, and I can open it up to any questions that you guys might have.
We had a couple come through. What's the warranty on your fenders? A couple questions on warranty and what the timeline is on that.
Oh,
Are you hearing me at all, Paul?
so somebody I see here down in the chat put in a question: are your fenders paintable? They are not. The type of plastic doesn't allow paint to adhere to it very well. We start with black because, again, it's the most popular color in the industry. But next year we hope to release a paintable version. We don't like doing colors, like solid colors, so like red fenders, gray fenders, because they never match up. So just within Kenworth, there's variations of red, and over the years, even more variations. So you never get the right red for a red truck. So we'd rather release a paintable version. So you can do that if you've got a blue cab, match it to the right blue. And so we hope to, again, release that paintable version next year.
Paul, can you hear me now?
Do you have any options for, do you have any options for tags and pusher axles? So we do. Our currently we have like a 20,000 pound steer, like 20,000 pound fender. So for your large steer and lift axles. And again, next year we hope to release a little bit smaller version for your 13,000 pound tags, along with the bracket kits to bolt on, so the fender will steer and lift with the wheel. So that should be coming out next year. Good question. Just got a question on warranty. And so we do offer warranties on both our brackets and fenders. There's a 3-year structural warranty on our brackets and a lifetime warranty on our fenders. So lifetime warranty. And the way that works, it's very simple. It's easy to deal with us. Basically, you get a picture of what went wrong to your Rihm salesman. And then they will forward those images onto us with a little description of what happened. And then we'll get you the pieces that you need once we review them. In some cases, we might want to get that piece back. So we'll let your salesperson know if we need to see it. But usually a picture works great. We can turn it around really fast. So to get your truck up and running, all the Rihm locations stock our product. They can pull out whatever pieces you need so you're up and running, and then we'll take care of them after the fact. So very easy. We're easy to deal with, no problems there. Any other questions? I haven't seen anything else come through.
I haven't seen anything else pop up.
And then I do want to speak real quick on the point of painting our fenders. So I said our fender isn't paintable, but our bracket is. So it comes black, but if you wanted to, you could paint that bracket to match your truck. So the fender would remain black. Again, next year, we're going to come out with some strips that go on our ribs to dress them up. So there'll be a paintable version of that and a stainless steel version to make it a little dressed up. So you could have a painted, like say your cab's red, you could have a red bracket tube with red strips or just red brackets, something like that to dress it up. So just wanted to touch on that, that is paintable.
Wonderful. At this time, we'll go ahead and conclude. I'd like to thank everybody for attending.
Any other questions?
Paul can't seem to hear me, so I don't know what's going on there, technical difficulties, but please watch for more of these upcoming events. We'll be having them once a month. Like I'd said, we'll send out invites.
All right.
Hopefully we can get keep you guys coming and keep you interested. Thanks everybody for attending.
Chad, are you muted? Chad?